Hey everybody, my name is Newman, and you are here at the Open Spaces Thursday meeting of Gimbalabs. Today is May 8th, a couple of days before Mother's Day, FYI, in the United States. Is that a worldwide thing? Also, the moon, which is worldwide, is waxing. A couple of days until it's full. And if you follow those type of things, it's in the Libra constellation. So
I- I'm a
just,
Libra.
hey, welcome to your moon sign.
Thank you.
Or
Yeah, I'm
your
Libra.
or to the I think that means something. Also, two Libras here.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, we just as you might know, if you're brand new here, we meet on Thursdays to do an open space model. That means that we talk about things with topics about things that interest are important to the folks that join. We keep a record in our Notion, and I'll bring up that Notion page now. We go for about 90 minutes. It's a pretty relaxed sort of thing, especially now as we finish up the the funding round or the proposals that have been guiding us for the past few months. Um, let's see here. So let's see. I think we want to go here. So this page is on our Notion. We as a community use Notion, and these are the topics that um, were suggested. I'm going to post this into our chat so that you can join and see, but I need to find that chat. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. I see that Alex is in a nighttime situation in his part of the world. Okay. Um, and basically what this does is it shows it's a running agenda, meaning it shows all of the different topics that we've talked about here. And the topics that we're going to talk about today. The yes vote on Cardano blockchain ecosystem budget, the Amaro node development 2025. And James is going to uh, talk about that, or is proposed to talk about that. And I've put myself down to talk about summer sprints at Odin. And there's a few links to share. I've got uh, some some discussion around that. If you have a topic or a burning desire, um, you can put that in the chat or join that Notion board to add things in, or come off the mute and we're in this process of agenda setting. We're in this stage of the meeting right now. Harsha, did I cover everything correctly?
Yep, all good.
Okay, perfect. I see somebody, you guys can see my screen, I think, and I see somebody typing in. And so I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. 2 minutes for sort of thinking and settling in uh, for agenda setting. If anybody wants to add things, and you can do that, of course, by listening to the drony, dulcet tones of my voice. Something bubbles up for you that you want to talk about with the Gimbalabs community. One of the things, just for folks, as we all listen, or we all um, uh, figure out topics to, I do like this. One of the things about Gimbalabs that I love so much is that we put this primary driver up front, super visible. And that driver uh, it's kind of like a vision or a mission statement to provide open, replicable, safe spaces to learn, to explore, to empower individuals and organizations anywhere so that we can solve meaningful problems. I think that's really cool, and it informs and aligns everything that we do. So maybe something in there sparks your agenda setting reflex. And in this last 30 seconds, I will show our Notion board, which is broken down into proposals that are in different stages of development. The proposal and planning stages, the community review and consent, and I see that one is in here, and that's around this DREP process. And then we've got things that are in progress, paused, done, back on. Looks like we've done 20. So that's pretty cool. All right. So that was 2 minutes of, does anybody come up with stuff? Let's go back to our thing. And we did. Looks like James put in what's next for Gimbalabs, June through August 2025 and beyond. Okay. Um, Harsh, who is my co-host here, um, what do you think? Maybe start in this order.
Uh,
The DREP, and then we'll talk about summer sprints at Odin. And Nori, would you be willing to sort of uh, talk about the summer sprints? Is it ready to talk about, or is this?
Yeah, we can talk about it. It's still in proposal forming, but it might be good
Yeah,
to get a little feedback and some brainstorm, and maybe even just Oda and Gimbal Labs collab even over the summer.
yeah, I think that's great. How long do you think? Maybe like 10 minutes
Yeah,
and another few 5 minutes for Q&A.
sure.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds cool. Um, and James, how long do you think you might need for the DREP?
it depends on how many
Yeah,
objections there are.
yeah. So we'll start with that one, and then with time left, we can go into the what's next for. Does that sound agreeable to everybody? Harsh is giving me the thumbs up. I'm seeing some more thumbs up. Everybody's, yeah, perfect. Okay, James, are you ready?
Sure.
All
Um,
right.
you can
Do you want
share a
to?
screen by linking straight through to that, or if you'd rather me
Yeah,
do it, that's fine.
I love doing this. Actually, this is something that we discovered is like having somebody else drive the screen share. I think there's a magical thing that happens because it slows it down enough and etc. So,
I happen to agree. So thank you. Hey, Faizan.
yep.
Yeah, so there is a direct info action on chain, and there's actually been a couple of other ones that if we decide to allocate time to it, we should. But the progress of the DREP is we're still figuring out how to use it here at Gimbal Labs. And what we settled on is whenever there's a decision that any member of the community feels compelled to propose voting one way or another, anybody can bring forth a proposal like the one I'm bringing here. So this budget decision, or sorry, this info action um, is compelling enough to me that I wanted to take the time to propose that we vote yes for it. And so I just wrote up a quick proposal here. And so you can see the driver right there, trying to really use the driver structure, but think about the current state of things, right? And for anybody who doesn't know about the state of Cardano blockchain development, the entire network currently runs on only one version of the node software. And so, right, there are well documented examples of how this creates a single point of failure and it limits our technical diversity. And so people have recognized these problems for a long time. And for months now, a team has been building Amaru, a Rust implementation of Cardano node, and they're seeking through direct action funding to finish the project. So the second paragraph takes this from the Gimbal Labs perspective. Gimbal Labs being an organization dedicated to empowering individuals and solving meaningful problems. Um, Everything we do is based on the health of the Cardano ecosystem, right? So if we recognize and agree with the hypothesis that a single node implementation limits diversity and creates systematic risk, we should be for this proposal. We should and this is where I'm really jumping into my opinions here that I'm seeking to validate with everybody, right? I think Gimbalabs should actively support any initiatives that strengthen Cardano's technical foundation. This directly aligns with our mission to provide open, replicable, safe spaces. As a DREP, we have a responsibility to celebrate proposals like this one that have been thoughtfully formed and seek to use the on-chain tooling that Cardano provides for this kind of direct governance action. I think that if we do support it, we're already helping to address the technical problem, but we're also sending a signal that we support this type of treasury action. A small team with a focused amount of funding seeking to do focused work and who took the time to write a very thoughtful proposal. Um, I think that the proposal the Amaro team has brought forth sets a really strong precedent for how other such actions can be submitted. And it provides a standard for what other teams could use as their baseline for trying to create similar proposals. So for all those reasons, I wrote the rest of the proposal. It's pretty brief because, right, what this comes down to is will we vote yes or no, and what reasoning will we place in the Git repository that links to our reasoning here. And one of the things we did last time when it came to voting yes to ratify the Constitution is we published a document that shows all the reasons we were voting yes, plus some dissenting views, right? And the goal here is to get to a certain yes or a certain no and to register that vote on chain. But also along the way, if we are of, if we have points that we want to make in both directions, we have a mechanism for doing that and sharing our thinking as a group. So we can read through the rest of the proposal for the details and what I believe the impact or the benefits would be. But before we go through those finer details, does anybody have any questions about what the proposal is asking for in the first place in terms of registering an on-chain vote? Okay, so let's look at the details together, right? Title, self-explanatory. I think we should vote yes on this proposal. There's a link to the full proposal as background. The intended outcome is that we would vote yes on this info action. The details, like I already outlined some of these in section 4. There's a team, you can read about it in the proposal that's on Newman's screen right here, of capable developers with a proven track record who are seeking to finish work that they've already started. They're requesting 1.5 million ADA for 6 months of work. This includes contingency funding, and there's a clause in this proposal that any unused funds would be returned to the Treasury. And the headline is, as it says in part 4, details of the proposal, this is a proposal that Gimbalabs should vote yes. So what are the impacts and benefits of voting yes? By turning around with a quick yes, we send a strong signal that we want this kind of direct budget action using Cardano native tooling to be a primary way of doing things. Like I mentioned before, I believe that the proposal is thoughtful and complete, and it sets a strong precedent. That to me, this is the most important part here. As I was reading the proposal, I kept thinking, this is a good standard for other projects to live up to, and I would feel comfortable using this as kind of a minimal baseline for what we might expect other projects to provide. Certainly, from the outcome perspective, bringing a second node to production will make Cardano more resilient and future ready. And then from conversations with the team at Builderfest, I recognize that and I want to share with everybody here that one of the primary goals of this team is also to improve the specification of the node itself. Because the node and the spec have been written by IOG to date, that team was able to take some shortcuts, right? And as all of us know, writing perfect documentation often comes after building some software, right? And we can talk all day about how it might be ideal to go the other way around, but reality is what it is. And so it's just the state of affairs, and nobody's to blame, but the state of affairs is that the spec needed some improvement just so the Amaro team could start their work, and they've proven to be very committed to that work. So it's exciting to know that in addition to delivering Amaru, they're also delivering a document that's going to make it easier for the third and the fourth and beyond implementations of the node to be built. Finally, for anybody who's interested in education at Gimbalabs, they talk about improved standards for monitoring, tracing, and logging. That if you can imagine what it's like reading the output of the current Cardano node, right? And anybody who's tried to make sense of that log, you know what I'm talking about. We can imagine that if a team is really dedicating attention to allowing us to view those logs in a more useful way, that's probably going to be compelling for teaching people how the blockchain works. So that's the reasoning. I would, if this was consented to today, I would submit our vote as early as today. But if people need more time, we have, I believe, until the first week of June to register our vote for this.
Yeah, I do believe that's right.
Any questions about the proposal? We usually would do a round here.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
yeah, I think so. Let's do a round on clarifying questions or initial reactions. And so you just want to react for a bit. Now I'm going to go through all the lists that are people that are here. If you weren't paying attention or if you've got something else going on, you can just simply say pass. But we encourage you to, even if it's just like, oh, I think it's great, or oh, I have an issue. So I'm going to go down my list and I'll paste it in the chat. The should be here. Oop, it didn't go. Okay. Let's I'll start. I'm at the top. I think it's great. I know some of the names on that list. I agree with having a one version of the node. It's not necessary. It's not healthy for, just to have, for instance, if you just had one web browser out there, if I'm reading that correctly. So I'm for it, and I would consent to it right now. Nori and then Adrian.
This is from Pragma, and I think in principle, I really like the proposal. I think diversity in the node ecosystem is a good thing. Just some questions I have that are unanswered for me are when you have one node, it's easy to do a hard fork from a software position.
Mm.
You get the software ready, and then you just need whatever 80% of blocks being minted on it, and exchanges indicating readiness and stuff. But now there'll be another step where all versions of Node need to support the hard fork functionality. And if one team stops developing it, what does that mean? And that could fork the chain. If SBOs don't update and the team doesn't update. So those just kind of thoughts out there that I don't know the answers to if this proposal is dealing with those at all, or they're just talking about the software itself.
Okay, thank you, Nori. And just by point of order, we don't respond to the questions in this moment. We want to go through everything. We'll keep a note, James, if you can, and then we'll answer them at the end so that everybody gets a chance. Thank you, Nori, Adrian, and then Alex.
Yeah, I think it's a good proposal. I know I should not answer to Nora's question, but I will answer it. I think that's the responsibility of the SPO, as we are staking to them. We are giving them our uh, power to produce blocks. So that, and I think that's their responsibility then to work to use the correct nodes which are able to upgrade and everything.
Okay. Thanks, Adrian. Alex.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the more software Cardano has, the more resources it has to spend to maintain it. And so, how does that, there's still no consensus and consent towards maintaining what exists. And wouldn't it be more kind of thoughtful to go through maintenance proposals first and to develop new stuff after?
Okay. Excellent, Alex. And all of these go into our rationale and sort of we'll make points about this. So it's really good. So any questions here, really, it's a valuable part of this process. So thank you, Alex. Andrew, and then Daniel, SME.
Yeah, so I've read a few arguments for and against the creation of another node. I think I sit for it. I mean, technical stuff probably beyond me anyway, but I do think the idea of taking away, developing something that's going to take away a single point of failure is the right path. I understand some of the reservations other people just mentioned. And also then I looked, I have read into Amaru before, and yeah, it's part of Pragma, and I like some of the team members that are there. They're strong community members. I think it would be in safe hands. It's also on the docs there. It says it's going to be open source, so as long as that's kept to them, if the team there was a problem, then it could always be picked up by somebody else. So I'm inclined with yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Andrew. And then Daniel, if you have an idea around this, he's given a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you much. And then Harsha, and then Lewis.
Uh, I mean I voted yes on this proposal in Catalyst as well, so I should probably stick to yes, but I do understand like the opposition views. Um, yeah, I mean I do not have like the technical prowess to like make a educated decision on this.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Thanks, Harsha. Lewis. Yep. And he may be.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey,
hey,
hi
man.
everybody.
Uh,
How's everyone doing?
Thanks, man. Great.
I
Were you able to get a sense of the proposal, and do you have any like clarifying questions and or like an observation or a question?
at, at the moment no, 'cause I just got in and I didn't know what was topic of discussion. So I haven't got through the document just yet, but after the session I'll go through it and then I'll put my questions in the chat
Excellent.
if I have any.
Perfect. That'd be great.
Is that
So, did
is
everyone
that
get a chance?
oh
Yep.
sorry,
That's
question. Is there a timeline to this for this?
excellent question.
Uh,
What is the timeline? And I think if everyone has had a chance to go around, now this might be a spot for James to respond, the proposal offerer or the writer, proposal writer to respond and sort of address some of these concerns. Um, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank
And that first one, might be a good one. What is the timeline? And I think we do have some time to make the vote,
Mhm.
I believe.
Yeah, thanks for the round, everybody. And when it comes time to consent on this proposal, part of the question will be, is it sufficient to name these risks, or are these reasons to vote no? So I'm open to a no vote. I think the process that we're playing around with here is more important than the ultimate vote. And so I'll be curious because I think it's true, right? Hard forks will be more to take on than they would be if there was only one implementation of a node. Um, and so, like anything, that can be seen as both an advantage and a disadvantage, right? We want it to be hard to fork the chain, but we also want it to stay as easy as it has been to upgrade the chain. And that's the benefits we've had, right? In the time that many of us have been working on Cardano, we've watched new features go live. We watched smart contracts be made available for the first time. And then we watched that smart contract language get upgraded and made more efficient. And so if changes like that become impossible, that would that would be detrimental to the long-term health of the chain. But even that said, I'm happy naming this as a concern rather than a blocker if it comes to that. And this one as well, right? Yes, exactly. Like the more software we are maintaining, by simple math, the more people will need to work on it, and ideally, those people are well funded. So this is absolutely a concern, but I wonder if this also counterbalances the monopoly that one organization has on that one piece of software right now, right? So it might be the case that if the Amaru team is saying, "Hey, we need these Catalyst proposals, we need this treasury withdrawal." And at the end of the day, they're going to be able to say, we delivered a working node for this expense, right? Which isn't the same thing as building it from the ground up, right? And the job is certainly easier than what IOG has had to do so far. However, moving into the future, having some competition to do that job well, I think is something that our ecosystem needs. So I'd be excited to list this as one of our concerns, but then also to hypothesize that it's money well spent and potentially savings. Timeline, the Gimbalabs DREP, we're not yet sure if it's a good idea to do this. This is an experiment. And as such, it's an experiment that we have a limited amount of time to do just because there's limited capacity at Gimbalabs for people to spend time doing these things. So I certainly wouldn't want to debate this for weeks and weeks. If we could get to consent soon, it's great. Then I can get the job done very quickly and place it on chain. But I understand that my goal of doing so today might be impossible, and I'm happy to open up a conversation on the Gimbal Labs Discord and leave it open until, say, early next week for people to express their opinions on it. So happy to update the timeline, maybe say submit a vote with rationale. Let's say by next Tuesday. How does that sound? By the 13th of May.
Yep.
Additional feedback and concerns via Discord from today through Monday. How's
Okay.
that?
Yeah, so the timeline being as short as possible, but the danger or the pitfalls being that we spend so much Gimbalabs member time, like time that we're in our open spaces and our governance here. Yeah, I like that, but I'm still thinking that we could get to consent today, um, and we can go to the do we address all of the potential risks in migration?
Yeah, any others that people want to share? We did a round and people had a chance to share some initial things, but what other objections would people have or concerns to
Yeah.
voting yes on this proposal? The more the merrier. This is, I think, the power of what we're doing here is we have a place to list both dissenting and consenting opinions.
Yep. And while you're thinking and building up the courage to talk, and we're all among friends, and it's definitely a spot where the objections are a real gift because in this sort of trusting place, we can rationally talk about those things, and they all go into our rationale when we make the vote. Um, the difference between, and this is just an S3 concept, the difference between an objection, which is sort of like a strong sort of stopping feeling, or not necessarily feeling, but what is it? Yeah, an objection versus a concern. Concern is just something like, oh, well, these are the concerns that we've listed, like hard forks would be riskier, or there's a concern about it being too fast, or like or that that if there are more nodes out there, those are concerns. But they could be objections where you're like, look, I can't support it because of this idea that the more software there is, the harder it will be to maintain. Um, so based on the discussions that we're having now, are there any objections that would say, hey, I can't support it? And um, this other concept, which is good enough for now, safe enough to try. It does feel like there's not a reverse switch, meaning that it can't be just sort of turned off, uh, meaning that once those funds go out, even though they've said, if for whatever reason it doesn't work, they will return funds to the treasury. Um, and it is significant, and it's over 1 million ADA. I think 1.5 or 1.6 million ADA for the 6 months of team effort. So it's not an insignificant amount of ADA, but also for something that's so key that we use as Cardano developers and SPOs, and the whole ecosystem uses, you know, very much the foundational part. Okay. So I think we're at another round, and you, James, do you feel comfortable doing a consent round, meaning that you just will go around and just say you consent and can support the yes vote, or you do not at this time? Is that where we go next, Harsha? Is that
Sure. And if anybody says they just need more time and so they're not willing to consent yet, that's fine. Right. So sure, let's try a consent round, but please, 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 if you need time to think about this, that's a reasonable objection, and we can stick to waiting until earlier next week to put this in.
all right? And we can go with the same round. We'll start with Nori and go to Adrian. Uh, Nori, what do you think?
No objections from me. Just
Okay,
the noted concerns, but those aren't really objections.
excellent. Thank you, Nori. Adrian, and then Alex.
No objections.
Perfect. Thank you, Adrian, Alex, and then Andrew.
Too tired to talk. Abstain.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Alex. Andrew, and then Daniel.
Uh, no objections from me.
Yep, yep. Daniel, then Harsha. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for participating. Harsha and Jingles.
No objection from me. The point that sold me was the fact that like IOG will have a little bit of competition, which I think is great. Yeah.
Yep. And thanks, Harsha. Jingles, and then Lewis. Jingles might be away. All right. And Lewis, and then I'll go after you. Okay, he might be away. And for myself, I'm a supporter of it, and I don't think we need more time. I feel that it's good enough for now, safe enough to try. I trust that team. I trust this process, like going through it. The people that have gotten into the conversation now. We've talked about the things, and I know, and I also trust that James will write a good rationale. Yeah, so I can consent to this.
All right, so does that mean it's time to pound the button?
It's pounding the button
We
time.
good?
We are, yeah, let's there's
All
a celebrate time because look, you did a governance process. You should be very proud.
Here's the
Dan,
thing.
there we go.
Reasonably efficient. So that took us about 30 minutes, 30-ish. Not bad. And keep in mind, everybody, there are other governance decisions that DREPs need to make right now. And the way the Gimbalabs DREP does that is by anybody opting in to bringing a proposal like the one I brought here. So if you think we should vote yes or no on any of the other current info actions, feel free to follow this process. You can wait for next Thursday, or you can open up a discussion on the Gimbal Labs Discord. And if that happens, that's when we will register decisions like this one.
Hooray.
Way to go. Thanks.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
All right,
Love
I'll
it.
follow up via Discord with a link to the official rationale and a transaction hash to our decision.
Hey, Alex. I see you got your hand up. You doing?
Yeah, let's use the next session to talk about intersect OSC and TSC budget. Any objections?
No, not at all. They're in that notion. And if you just contact me or Harsha before next Thursday, and we can, I can put it on I can put it on there right now. Check it out. Thank you for
Okay,
bringing that up.
thank you.
Um, I think we are ready for our next agenda item, and that's the summer sprints at Odin. And I just let me do this one with Alex. Alex and intersect proposals. I would love actually to get some discussion about what's going on at intersect. And especially from somebody that's over there quite a bit, and Alex. So thank you for that, Alex. Um, so let's talk about um let's talk about Odin for a moment. Um, do you all know what Odin is about? Is there anybody here that's a little that they don't know? That there is this open decentralized innovation network? let me share. I think you can see our screen. So Odin is a group of people that are involved with the Catalyst system. And I'm going to start the timer now for 10 minutes. That's how I'm going to try to speak for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to pass it over to Nori. Nori, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay, cool. Um, uh, uh, Odin started several years ago now, and we work with that collaborative governance space around the issues and tensions that we see out there in the Cardano and Project Catalyst ecosystem. Now in the Intersect and the other places that we that we've been working as decentralized workers and Web3 folk. Um, we generally do governance and sort of plan for large projects, and we've done several different projects. And currently, we're thinking about the summer, and well, one of the tools that we use is this Miro board. I'm going to show you the Miro board just to get these sort of established. And so here is our Miro board. And let's get one other, and that is our GitHub. And here you can see well, let's just open up the website too. And here's our website. And we can read this. We believe that decentralized innovation networks will be the primary way we solve hard problems in the world. And to that end, we will experiment with and mentor evolutionary organizational principles, which is basically what we do here at Gimbalabs in a way, and create ways to scale through connecting high trust spaces so that innovation networks and their members can flourish. All right. And this is how we do it through this GitHub repo. But then, a lot of our meetings look like this. This is sort of the aftermath of a meeting. All right. But we've come to a particular idea of what to do in the summertime. And so I'm gonna set up Nori here to talk about this new idea for our summer 2025.
All right, thanks, Eamon. So there has been some discussions over the last month or so on various different threads, and I put a post into the Odin Discord the other day, just to say, let me just read it. We discussed different forms of capital and what people might be able to bring to a commons or contribute to a commons. There was also discussion this week with Newman about doing short sprint-focused work on concrete projects. And we've been talking about sustainability and tokens for a long while. I'd like to do some proposal forming over the next couple of weeks to put some of this into practice. Would there be some interest in this? Some concrete deliverable outcomes could be a collaborative Sparks website, a self-management and collaboration blog, some software or tokenomics experiments, etc. I'm thinking of 1 or 2 experiments at a time as a work in progress limit and running them using sprints, no more than a couple of weeks. So we iterate quickly and use whatever commons that we can assemble and possibly tokenomics to experiment with incentives and rewards. So just kind of to focus the community around a couple of proposals and some very short-term experiments. And I'd love to couch them as experiments to say, we believe that this is true and this is how we're going to prove it. And one of the things that we've been working on for a while is the collaborative Sparks website, where principles like consent and decentralized patterns of working together are kind of intended to be collected and put into a website so people can learn about it and study them. And a lot of it's steeped in Sociocracy 3.0, but not all of it is. There's a lot of different kinds of teal or self-management principles that come into play. So we just wanted to write them down. So one of the proposals is to just start small, because we want to do a small experiment to see if we can actually collaborate around this and get 3 articles up on 3 different patterns or something like that. Get the website working and running. And then I think a few other people are thinking of some other proposals, but it's just a time to gather together in the summer, do something fun. Not a lot of time investment either. Like we're not expecting people to work 40 hours a week for 2 weeks to get something done. That's why we're kind of a distributed network. We want to see what we can get from different people and different small contributions to push an experiment forward so that we can get to the end and measure the results and see if we want to iterate and continue or abandon it and try something different. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a lab
And
in practice.
yeah, it's that sort of that idea of a lab. And the cool thing about a lab to me is that it happens in real time. And we have like this synchronous, asynchronous issue where we've got so many different threads going, it's very difficult to focus. This project, the summer sprints, sort of says, hey, let's prioritize and work dedicated. So instead of spending an hour a week for 5 weeks, we spend an hour a day for 5 days. And then the second part is the real and concrete projects. It's like something fun that we could all do that's meaningful, useful, but also has like personal meaning. So I know that there are people here in this meeting that have a project that they want to do, and maybe it's a back burner project. It's something that they either came to Web3 for, or they have like a file like me of a ton of different projects. This has been my focus since day one. Seeing Project Catalyst, it was like, that in that music video from the 90s where the bee finds all those other bees. It's just like, oh, these guys have projects. It's like, oh, dude, and we all danced around, and and then Project Catalyst happened.
It's a blind
So
melon song, by the way.
it was a Blind Melon song. That's right. And uh, so, but we don't need, in a decentralized way, we can just say, hey, do you have a project? And for me, the action is the juice. So that means that I don't particularly care about the project that I'm doing. I mean, I don't want to do a random project that has no meaning for me, but if it has meaning for you, I am willing to contribute some time, especially if we're all working together to build that project. I don't want to do such a huge project that I can't get it finished, but that's what addresses this sort of thing. So that sets us up for, hey, I mean, Nori, what do you think? I mean, I think we're ready to entertain projects. We have this blog project. Um, Somebody that you all may know, Randall, has a minimal tokenomics project, like a tokenomics experiment, but they gets into very real, like building out like the contracts and the site to do some exchanges, to mint tokens, mint and burn tokens. Um, you know, yeah. So that's one of the things. Yeah.
One thought for me, especially in this space, is part of the idea is how do you activate a network and connect spaces that have high trust. And there's an obvious Venn diagram between Gimbalabs and Odin. Like they're like similar members are in both spaces, but how do we leverage that connection and build something between the two? And any ideas around that would be really exciting to start thinking about space trains and how that could work in our kind of community space.
Yes.
And it could start simple, like let's do a project together, but there could be other things out there. So that's kind of the goal, is to brainstorm a bunch of fun, short, small experiments around all of this and see what sticks, what people kind of naturally coalesce around, and try something a few weeks at a time and see how it goes.
Yeah. So what I would love I mean, what I'm sort of expecting or what I would love somebody to say is like, oh, I would love to build this small smart contract. For instance, yesterday or the last on Tuesday, we had Code Cow. And Code Cow, I mean, that was such an incredible learning experience. I heard from another Gimbal Labs member who, when he's like, "Wow, I watched the video and that was incredible. Like, could we do that with my project? I would love to investigate." He has a DeFi uh, uh, tool that he would love to dig in. It's an open source thing, and he's like, "Wouldn't it be great if we grab the developer and had a junior guy like me go through and try to explain?" And I just think that could be a pattern. And so, in my mind, that might be one of these sprints to sort of organize and create a session uh, like that live coding session. Kind of pair programming, kind of code review, code explanation. Um, like that would be great if it was just uh, a unit that we did with a group of people and we organized it. Maybe they're marketers here, or maybe they're writers or people that want to do the facilitation or do the documentation after the fact. Pabon is wonderful in the marketing efforts that he does. He builds out all these incredible posts um, and does a lot of work behind the scenes. So that's the kind of thing that we could all sort of work in concert. Um, Another thing, and this, could be that we experiment with the Andamio network and do these as courses and projects. Um, I don't know if that's available to us to sort of make it a project and then distribute funds. And Nori, here's a real question. Here's real talk. We do have some funds, and I would love to do matching funds of some kind, and maybe that's a tool we can build. Anyway, um, we talked about creating the commons and sort of distributing from the commons, but I feel like that is, even if it's literally 5 ADA, like double the processing fee. I think it's an important part of the cycle for community work. Um, do you think that could be a part of the summer sprint? Is that some value exchange? I guess maybe in the 8 forms of
Yeah,
capital. Yeah.
that would be a great experiment. And yeah, there are some resources, like there's financial resources there's some leftover funds from bridge builders who had a Leadership Academy funded proposal, and there's about 12,000 ADA left in there. And if it goes to Collaborative Sparks, that really aligns with the purpose of those funds. So I think that would be super useful and a great way to just report back, this is how we used up the remaining part of this funding.
Yeah.
There's other kinds of things. We were looking at the 8 forms of capital. So, and I love the idea of matching funds. So just those kind of brainstormings would be great. Like my thinking is, one, assemble the commons, two, brainstorm experiments on how we can come together and collaborate, and then three, see the results plus send out the rewards. And I think the Andamio platform might be an ideal tool to manage
Excellent.
treasuries and do all of that kind of stuff as well.
All right. I feel like we have talked enough. I think it's been 15 minutes. I know that I'm not uncertain about that, but I do know that we have about 24 minutes left in the meeting, and we do have a hard stop because we have here in this same space, which we do on Thursdays, we do have the developer stand up, which is like a show and tell for developer stuff. I know that Harsha and I have got some things. I know Andrew likes to hang around and talk developer stuff. Space available afterwards. So we want to wrap up this in the next 24 minutes. Does anyone have some questions for Nori or myself about this Odin summer sprints? Like a clarifying thing, or do you have like a project that you'd like, or does it sound cool? Or are you like, no, that won't work? Here's some feedback. What do you think?
Just a strong plug to anybody who wants to write a proposal. This feels like a great use of the sustain and maintain Gimbalabs funds as well. So as we're talking about fund matching and maybe getting, a little bit of financial input from here, here, and here. What a great opportunity to think about the use of the sustain and maintain funds. So just want to encourage people to think of those as available.
Clarify, like if in because I imagine these are going to start up in mid, and Nori, correct me if I'm wrong. I imagine that these are going to start up in mid-June, and try to complete by end of August. Is that about the timeline? So I don't think, I mean, we
Yeah,
could start it maybe a little bit earlier.
maybe a little earlier, beginning of June, but yeah, just a summertime activity.
Yeah.
And we have a driver, right? Gimbalabs has a primary driver and a proposal process that anybody can use to access those funds. And so, right, if you can connect something that you want to do anyway, just for fun this summer, to the Gimbalabs driver, that's a great way to get a little bit of summertime funding.
And it doesn't even have to be associated with the Odin Sprint, but why not? We're basically, there are opportunities here.
Hmm.
And we want to support you. That's what I mean, in my mind, that's what I love to do. It does feel like a genuine passion, like my big why is to sort of support people that have got something inside them, they have a project, and that they want to get it out for some purpose. And it doesn't have to be a noble purpose. It could be anything. But as long as it's kind of cool and it uses this stuff, I've been learning Prisma and Supabase. I always figured that databases would be a big part of it, but here we are. Um, and you may be, I don't know, are you sitting on your hands and thinking, my project idea is not cool enough, or I'm shy, I don't want to do it. You are among friends, like everybody here is very cool and supportive, and uh, we want to get those things out. This is that blind melon space of bees, and so don't be shy. And the proposal process is pretty simple. I can help you with it. It happens here on Thursdays. Um, I've always got hours to spend on helping people get their proposal formats together. It doesn't have to take a long time. James showed us, like, there's a simple format, just a little bit of brainstorming, a little bit of ChatGPT to format it into readable English, and bing, bang, boom. See if you can get some of these funds, which we want to spend, that are correctly aligned with that driver. So you can make a connection to the primary driver. Let's get some funds to you. Um, yep, yep. Alex, go ahead, man.
I have a software experiment I can propose. We worked through small workshop in the Builderfest, and it's about this small tool called Radical, and it's a wrapper around Git, which works without GitHub and in decentralized way. So that's fun. Like you can send patches and commands through the command line, and you essentially seed your repository. It's a like BitTorrent thing, but for software code. And there's a small node on your computer which you allow to access certain repos, and then other people can, knowing the special address line, they can join in the fun and also seed the software. And then you can
Sounds
also
cool.
do collaborative development using the software.
That sounds pretty cool. Um, and worthy of a proposal for certain. Um, one of the ones. So I told you guys about my idea? It's called it's like I can't remember the catchy title, but it's the Hello World, um, uh, like hackathon. And basically, there's so many Hello Worlds, and I think people like me that are trying to learn development. They go and they take the Hello World, and you get stuck halfway through. And it might be because something is updated. That was midnight. I tried to do the midnight Hello World, and like, oh, you're on the 3.2 and you should have been on the 2.5, and it's just like, oh my God. And they don't update the documentation. No, 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 no judgment, because it's hard. But wouldn't it be great if we somebody that had been through the Hello World, maybe they have that credential, and then they are available to walk someone through a Hello World, and they make the time available. They kind of need funds for that. Um, but it's a systematic thing that could be like an app where you get all the available Hello Worlds and the people that are available to run those Hello Worlds. It's kind of like running a dungeon on a game. And it's like if you're a level 60 in World of Warcraft, it's no big problem to run somebody through. I wish I knew the name of a low level dungeon. What was the one with the pirate thing? Anyway, um, I would, and I envision it as an app where there's just a database of people and projects, Hello World projects. And it would be a great tie-in, because if you have a service or a tool and you want Hello World, Aiken, the gift card one, like I can't get the gift card to work. And every few months I go back to it, and I see that it's been updated, and I now know more about Node and about Mesh and about Aiken, and I try to get it done. But wouldn't it be great if the next person that came through didn't have to deal with that, and they had a mentor, maybe in this one up, one down? I'm gonna definitely talk about that, and that might lead us into, because I feel like that's the essential part of Gimbalabs. That's what I want to. I enjoy doing the facilitation. I enjoy doing the things, but it is a chore. I would rather be you know having Code Cow tell me what to do, and my brain getting heated up, trying to figure out on the fly, uh, the way a validator works, or the what that little Boolean thing means on the code. Um, so that brings us in. And James, do you feel like we could touch this last one in the last 10 minutes of class, or should we pause? Because we do have the opportunity, and this is another thing that Gimbal Lab says. It's like, how do we want to spend our time? Like, here we are, we're grown adults. We can choose how and we shouldn't just do things because we're doing them. They should be aligned with our goals, and they should help us. So what do you think? Is it now time to talk about? Oh, I see that Andrew. It's like I'm on a telethon. I'm waiting for somebody to call. Andrew, you got your hand up. Tell us what's what.
Yeah, sorry, we're coming into this last section, but I might have to drop out early, so I just thought this is the right place to bring it up. Felix from Mesh sent a message on the Discord earlier. I'll read out the message. It says, "Hello, Gimlabs. He wanted to ask if there's anybody who would like to host regular live coding sessions, but for Mesh. Obviously, we've just had the successful Aiken ones. So he's just putting the idea out there at the moment. I guess one or two of us could pick that up and maybe help them make a proposal. But I thought it was just worth mentioning that now, because we're going to be talking about what we're going to be doing for the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll post the message actually, just in the chat.
I mean, that feels like, yeah.
Yeah, and on that one, Felix is really excited to post that directly. I connected with him earlier this week about it. Models have been created for this, right? So Hinson is on the Mesh team full time. He's also helped out here at Gimbal Labs, and he and I worked together to build the Aiken PBL course. So in a similar way, the Mesh PBL course needs updates. And what the Mesh team is willing to do is to create all of the technical examples, right? And so what we need here at Gimbalabs is somebody to play the role that I played in Aiken PBL, of taking the technical examples and writing lessons around them. So this would be a really nice chance to collaborate closely with a member of the mesh team. And if anybody did step into this work, Hinson and I would be there as mentors to help out along the way with, really want this to be a chance to help somebody step into this role of building a valuable course that's going to help people on board to the mesh project.
Wow. That in my mind is fantastic because it's an example of the good like our model is getting out there. And when we can refine and iterate it and it won't be as hard and we can, improve, make improvements.
We're talking a lot about like whatever metaphor you want to use, drag and drop or copy and paste models, right? But once a structure is set up, now we have the ability to reuse it. And want to call out the work that Andrew's been doing on the PPBL maintainers team as well. Emmanuel's here too. Well, no, Emmanuel has been on the Asteria project, Andrew on the PPBL maintainers, but both of these are creating patterns that would hopefully be reused as well, right? So
Yeah.
turning a course into a public resource that a group of people comes together to improve. Maintainers is wrapping up. They just did that. And now there's a model for it, right? Same thing, creating a project that is going to help people have some fun while learning Cardano development. Asteria crew doing that, right?
Yeah.
It appears you guys are having fun in the work. And if you're not, you're doing a good job faking it.
Yeah, well, when the blood comes out of the forehead, it generally means I was so frustrated. Harsh, it's not the first time that Harsh has said it, but he's just like, man, you're really angry. And I was just like, "Ah," and it was so bad, so frustrating. But it really, I mean, as like a learning professional, like that's part of it. Like that frustration phase, it's like going to a
Yeah.
good game. Like you
Yeah.
have to get frustrated. That is like the doors of your learning opening up.
Well, and
So
think
yeah,
about the people, like my list of people with whom I get frustrated is pretty short, right? Like you have to
yeah,
be like a sibling or my wife for the most part, but like we've created that space here too.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what a privilege to be part of a group with whom you can get frustrated and express some frustration and then get through it.
Yes, yeah. Because it's real, and I think that's yeah. Because it's like I don't allow that out in a like an open you would never see me get frustrated in a place like this. I'm very good at not showing that, but when it's just me and Harsha, or when it's just me and Nori on a call, or just me and James in the in a smaller group, like I can get a little frustrated, and so but it's something to like lean into. Um, Now there is that, and that's kind of like that was my real frustration. It's like, do you have to get all the way like totally topsy-turvy? I was like, I'd love for it to just be an annoyance and then I fix it. But yeah, it reminds me of looking up a word in my education schooling where the term was perturbed, that the learner needs to be perturbed. And I'm like, oh, perturbed means like, oh, I'm perturbed. The bus isn't here. No, actually, if you look up the definition of perturbed, it means to be like totally hammered. You're perturbed. You're upside down. It's literally the thing.
Isn't there like
And
an
I'm like,
astronomy definition too, though? Doesn't that mean like the Earth is just like you're spinning slightly off axis?
ooh, yes, I do think it
Right.
has something like that. Yeah.
I'm,
Look
I'm
it up
just a
again.
tiny bit off my axis today. I'm perturbed.
Every
Yeah.
day.
Oh man. So we've got about 9 minutes left. I definitely don't like running this meeting to the very end
Yeah.
because we do have the tech stand up.
Let me just
Um,
give everybody, if we're going to close out, just one note on what's next for Gimbalabs so people can start thinking about it. Okay. We're going to close out these open spaces. What did we write on the proposal? Next Thursday or the one after that?
ooh,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Well, look, I'll look at
But
it.
let's officially say that we'll do two more open spaces. Is that
Okay.
okay? So 15th and 22nd of May. And then we're gonna go into whatever the summer holds, right? So if people have proposals, whether they're collaborative with Odin, I think that's a beautiful opportunity to do something with a group of people. Or if they're just directly something you want to work on behalf of the Gimbalabs driver, that's great. But there's currently no plans to run public meetings this summer. That can
Okay.
change if somebody brings a proposal to do so. Um, I'm going to take a little break from meetings. I know that I need it personally. Okay, so for this summer, I'm committing to doing more deep work and fewer public meetings. Um, just a thing that I got to do. But I would be a full voiced supporter of anybody who does propose, hey, let's keep running this meeting or let's try out that kind of meeting this summer. That's the time is now to propose that over the next few weeks. So that's why I just want to make sure everybody, if you're considering it, the chance to get funding for that is over the next 2 Thursdays. Now, the other thing we have to think about, whether it's starting now or when we reconvene, maybe regular Gimbalab scheduling in the fall, is whether or not we even need to keep running Gimbalabs, right? Is it time, for example, for Gimbalabs to hand off its key assets to an organization like Odin, or like we've talked about in the future, one like Ada.eco, and start something new that takes some of our work into the future, right? I recognize that we're hitting our limits of what Gimbal Labs can do in terms of its scope, right? We're here on a mostly volunteer basis. We have some catalyst funding that we do need to figure out how to spend to sustain and maintain the goals we're here to do. But we also have an opportunity to say, hey, we really want to lean into one particular goal, right? Whether it's facilitation of spaces like this, or the education stuff that we've been doing for years, or to imagine new possibilities, right? For example, do we want to experiment with helping projects with administration, right, in a constitutional way? These are all possibilities, and this right, the story is wide open, right? It's up to anybody here. If you have thoughts about what Gimbal Labs should be in its next iteration, the time is now to start those conversations. And I'll bring a proposal draft over the next few weeks for one possibility. Um, but I'm sure other people here, right? All of us are invested in the types of spaces we're creating. And as such, you probably have your own ideas about what we can try this summer and beyond. So be sure to write those down. I really want to encourage everybody to bring some writing, right? Bring a document. We have a process for this, but really try to put into words what it is you want to accomplish this summer and beyond. And let's have some fun uh, getting some proposals passed over the next few weeks for what we're going to do next.
I love it. Reactions from the audience. We still have a few minutes left. I yeah.
Maybe we can combine just a closing round. If people have questions, I can follow up, but closing round and any thoughts on what's next?
Yeah. All right, let's round it up. Um, no, we're gonna start at the bottom and go up. Nori's at the bottom. Let's just try that.
How did I go from the top to the bottom?
Yeah.
Great meeting. Glad I dropped in. Lots of great ideas and conversation, and it's got me thinking about a whole bunch of stuff now. So, um, yeah, I appreciate all of your efforts and time and the fact that these spaces exist. So, thanks very much. And
Thank
looking
you,
forward
Nori.
to possibly collaborating with some of you over the summer for some fun experiments.
And then Lewis, and then Harsha.
Hey,
What did you think, Lewis?
I loved it. I loved it. So I when you started the or rather when I joined in, I said I'm gonna spend the first few sessions. I'm just listening in, getting a gist of things, how things flow, and this actually aligns with my goals. I mean, I'm doing 100 days of code. I need to think about what happens after the 100 days, right? So I'm on day 14, or rather day 16. I just clocked 2 weeks. 2 weeks are the hardest, so everything's just going to be a breeze. Yeah, so I mean, I'm excited to join in. Yeah.
Perfect. Beautiful. Uh, all right. So I would encourage you to write something to listen to what James was saying is like bring an idea. That's going to be great. Harsha and then Daniel.
Yeah, I think it was great. And that leaves us with a lot of questions as to what comes next, how we see things moving forward, and all of that. And I think that's not like an easy thing. So it probably will take some time to like figure things out. Yeah.
Yes, a little bit perturbing, a little bit off axis, but I think on the other side of that is something good. Um, Daniel, and then Emmanuel.
Thank you, everyone. Um, Let me say, I'm glad I joined. Um, even though I really like understand what you guys are saying, yeah, like I can basically hear what you guys are saying. Like I can hear the words, but I don't really like the concept. So yeah, let me say, it's an honor, to join a community like this. I'm just 10 years old. So let me say I'm glad to join. Yeah, that's it.
All right, perfect. Thank you, man. Um, hope to see you again soon. Emmanuel, and then Alex.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. It's been a great meeting so far. So yes, and I'm thinking of bringing one of this my old proposal back. I think since the summer will be going on for the summer break, which I'm just hearing now. So in the next 2 weeks, maybe we'll be discussing about that in the open spaces.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Let's write proposals. Let's get that. Let's dust off those proposals. They're in there. Yeah. Who was next? Oh, dear. Alex. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for being out there. Uh, I felt really bad when I came, and now I feel a little bit better.
It happens. That's awesome. Thanks, Alex. Adrian, how are you feeling?
Good meeting. Thanks, everyone. Curious what will happen with Gimbalabs in the future.
Yeah, yeah. All right, look at us, right on time. We're closing up. We can say goodbye to the recording. Thank you so much. Please join us. We've only got a couple of sessions left of this Thursday. Write down what you want to do in Cardano and how Gimbal Labs can help and how it aligns with our driver. You can see all of our stuff on our website and on Discord. Our YouTube channel is full if you want to see exactly how we run things. Thank you so much. We are so glad that you listened and that you're here. We'll see you in the next few weeks and over the summer.